This is Wade, and you are in Wade World. You're going to bear with what issues you have because it is what it is. But what we are going to see today is something fascinating. We've reached a point in time where Wade observes that the Jews are fantastic at diverting you with clowns. But there's an old saying that if a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king, the palace becomes a circus. That's the stage we're at right now, where TV idiots, clowns, clowns being made presidents of countries, whether it's the US or in Ukraine. And if you come from an entertainment background, you're already less of a man. If that's your identity, that you were an entertainer all your life. And it's something that you really can't get away from, especially if you get it big. Even Marlon Brando talked about it. He was, at the end of his life, he was like, acting is not a profession for a man. Because nobody's going to take you seriously, right? Anywhere, anytime. And the artistic thing is for young boys, young men, for girls, but as you grow older, it should be a part of you, not who you are, right? It's inherently girly. So, we live in a place where we have a Jewish circus and they divert you with clowns and then they put these clowns in positions of power. And then these clowns start a fight because they're clowns, they're not warriors, they don't know what it means to fight, and then they start losing and they're like, surprise peek at your face. All right, talking about that, we're going to go into the hub of all that is comedy in the world today, X, and we are going to read what X is. Itself is great. We're going to recap a little bit about what exactly is the problem that the world is facing currently with Jews. And even before the Khazars converted in the 8th century, these are white people from the Caucasus Mountains. Even before that, the religion existed, right? And if you go back beyond their inception, when they were not called Jews, they were Phoenicians. Before that, they were Canaanites. And these are basic girly men who don't have the balls to stand up to their women. So any government that you see with a bunch of girls in it, it's basically under the control of girly men because they can't say no. They lack the balls, take that frustration out on everybody else. It just goes back to the fact that these people practicing a religion because they're girly men. They worship a God that wants to do human sacrifice, and not only human sacrifice, child sacrifice. And their God is Moloch, who doesn't only want a baby's sacrificed, he wants the babies tortured and burned alive before they're sacrificed. And to masculine men and feminine women, this is abhorrent, which is the vast majority of the population. But to girly men, remember the girly men, they can't even stand up to their girls. How the hell are they going to have the balls to stand up to their God, and say, yo, fuck you, bro, we're not going to do that. And as Wade said earlier, maybe God is their word for their species. Maybe they were precursors of humanity. And like we say mankind, they would say God kind. Maybe they said God. And everybody's like, God, 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 yes. And then we see that, oh, God, he's the all-loving. No, that's the creator of reality. You're confusing the creator of all creation with the gods. So the first post itself on X is fantastic because it touches on something very interesting. It's a good description, right? So here's some woman, hopefully she has children and not wasting her life online, being childless. The world is seeing Israel is not a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, an evil genocidal state who kills anyone and everyone they want. All right, man. Jeffrey Sachs. Israel's doctrine is kill adversaries, kill them in mass numbers, kill the civilians, kill the women, kill the children. They don't, they level Gaza. It's a rogue, brutal regime. Right.
Its doctrine was kill the civilians, kill the women, is the Israeli doctrine of war. They don't discriminate between civilians and military targets. They leveled Gaza, all its infrastructure. They destroyed all the schools, the clinics, the mosques, the hospitals, the housing, the water, the sanitation. And we don't know the full death toll, but it almost surely is in the hundreds thousands if you take bodies that have been collected, which come to around 80,000.
So, quick side note, Jeffrey Sachs is probably Jewish, but it's an example, right? That the reality that we live in is probabilistic. Even the worst versus worst has some good exceptions. But those exceptions don't really disprove the rule. If there are exceptions, they leave that cause, right? The exceptions among the Jews who didn't want to sacrifice babies left Judaism and became Christians. And again, the reason a lot of Europeans are like, oh, the biblical prophecy. Yeah, man, because your kings got cut into collecting taxes because the Jews came and said, hey, we got a new religion, it's called Christianity, it's a Jewish theological debate, but we'll come with a lot of bureaucracy and we'll get you a lot of taxes. So the kings were like, oh, that's all. And here you are 2,000 years later, debating a bunch of freaking child murdering, sacrificing bastards with their bastard religions, offshoots, right? Judaism, Christianity, Islam, which shouldn't even have been a debate. But your kings were so weak. And the ones that weren't weak were defeated. So anyway, is correct. But what we're missing here is that the Jews have quite smartly weakened all of you to the realities of brutality and war. He said the Israelis murder civilians, they kill men, women, children, they level whole cities. You know who else did that? Genghis Khan. Religion, society did brutally sacrifice and burn babies alive to their God, as far as we know, and definitely not at an industrial scale. They didn't spread pedophilia, they didn't spread degeneracy, transgenderism, homosexuality. There were more manly men who were brutal and ruthless. From that lens, the brutality of the Jews only upsets you because they have softened you to such a degree that you don't understand the realities of war and the realities of ruthlessness. And they have softened you to a degree because without being softened, you wouldn't have let a bunch of racial aliens into your nations for the last 126 years, pretending, oh, they're just like us, man. They speak the language, they have our accent. Fuck off, you idiots. That they've turned you into girly men. Because if you're a masculine man, right, try to go to Mongols in Genghis Khan's language. Say like, I'm from Sweden. I'm just as Mongol as you are. They would cut right reaction to someone who's trying to infiltrate you, unless you prove yourself to be wholly committed to their cause in battle. And even then, you'd have to prove yourself. That's just the reality, right? So if you look at it, they are a brutal regime, but most of their anti-human ideals come from the God they worship, and they choose to worship the God because they're girly men. All of their strategies is like, let's turn these men girly. Now let's count, right? In 1960, they killed JFK, who was the last man who stood against the Jews as the President of the United States. Within 6 years, they passed the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, the Hart-Celler Act, which opened the floodgates of America to all known people around the world. Destroyed the country. And they said they wouldn't destroy the country. They ushered in the civil rights to mix with blacks and other people who you don't want to. At the gunpoint, you can look at the videos. And there are, if you look at the face of Lyndon B. Johnson, the vice president who succeeded JFK after his assassination, LBJ, he looks like a Jew. So they're really, really fucked up. But 1965 and 2026, right? That's about 60 years. So in 60 years, they go from a masculine society to a girly society. And in 60 years, the backlash is coming. So if you look at society as a whole, right? This would be like bullying a kid for 6 years. And then he immediately starts punching back after 6 years. Or maybe 6 years is fine. So as a whole, brutality and ruthlessness has been a quality of battle. The problem with them goes far beyond it. The problem with them goes to the fact that they are girly men who worship a God who is anti-human. So they have no control over their own emotions. And they subsume themselves to a God who wants to consume them at the end. So, This is the reality of the world. As manly men come up, you will have to make your peace with it because we have a lot of dysgenic men in the world. This is literally what the Jews have done: fill the world with dysgenic men. There are thousands of anti-Zionist Jews in America, but the mainstream media that says that this doesn't it doesn't Zionist Jew. No one who is not Jewish is being allowed into the shelter. They are extremely racist and ethnocentric, right? To be it's just around the coordinates to Jewish things. I spend a day posting consistently why we ban and free America from foreign Jews, basically. Anyway, so Rupert Lowe is important to restore Britain now has more members than the Conservative Party. Like
my nascent seeds for the coming season.
All of these guys are good, but they're not warriors, but they're good. This is what happens when normal men are pushed to the extreme. Rupert Lowe is an example. He's not a warrior, but he will fight now. That's your question to be and now destroying his country. So the fact that these people consistently choose to be girly men, that is why they're so confused. That is why the highest number of homosexuals as a percentage of race are in Judaism. No other race pushes it as a cultural thing. That is why abortion is the religious right, because they're completely cut by their women. That's why there's so many transgenders among Jews. But literally, they're so ballless and cut by their women, they're like, oh, we might be better to be a woman. So this is the end goal of you simps who think that treating women on like calves on a pedestal will make you better man. It won't. It will literally lead you down a road of queer, a homosexual, being married to a worthless cunt who are sluts, and sacrificing your babies after torturing them to Baal and Moloch. Maybe more. So the dysgenic way is talking about is the fact that the inventor of all the evils in the world today, almost all the evils, are Jews. If you look at the atomic bomb, right, nuclear weapons, it's not that the Jews were the only ones smart enough to come up with it, Oppenheimer and all that. It was that there were Europeans in the 1918, maybe even earlier, thousands of years ago, who were like, yeah, let's not do that. That's pretty destructive, and we don't think we're morally grown up enough to handle this kind of destructive energy. So let's not do that. The Jews just did it. The invention of birth control was by a Jew, and they pushed it. And you know what birth control does? It makes the pushing from teenage years and early 20s to mid and late 30s among Western nations is sluts with the DNA of multiple straight men inside her having a bastard DNA offspring with a simp. All of these things add up to dysgenics. So you have a lot of dysgenic girls walking around. This is the mass of the world right now. Just a small example. Africa without aid throughout history has had a total cap in the entire continent of Africa. We're talking about Negroes here. 18 million. That's it. They can't go beyond it because they don't build civilization, and that's it. Jews put in a bunch of aid, now they're about 2 billion. Without this aid, they will starve and collapse. If you don't believe WAYDE, look at the history of Rhodesia, it's in Zimbabwe, look at the history of Zambia, look at the history of what's happening in South Africa. These people are just takers, they're leeches. Without the blood of other people's aid, they will collapse to their level. The same in places like India, the same in places like China has some control over it. While they're killing the best of the Europeans and making sure the Europeans who are born are weaklings, they're also by turning them queer, encouraging them to be transgender, making their women useless, making their men even more useless and effeminate. And we're reaching this point where really you can't win a civilizational war by arguing. Do you understand? That is another trick that the Jews do. They are girly men. So girly men, they fear conflict. As we can see in Israel, like, Israelis fight. Not really. The vast majority of Jews want you to fight and die because girly men are inherently cowards. They can't fight. They're not good warriors. That's why they're fucking girly men. That's why they're merchants. They're repulsive, most of them. That's why they're top of the racial hierarchy in any society, because the top of the racial hierarchy is the priestly class, which is intelligent and brave, and then the warrior class. The merchants are third, refuge of society, the helots and the slaves, helots or whatever, and the shooterers in Aryan systems, right? So they understand that violence is necessary, but they also understand that they're not really cowards. So they use others to bomb. Like Israel itself, Americans and all the European going pull out. Right? It really can't defend itself if all the Arab nations band together. But that's the thing. Islam is not a religion. It's not about its religion. That's why it's so popular with Arabs. Genetically, it resonates with them. And that's why it's so repulsive to Europeans. It's not about, Muhammad did this, Muhammad did that. Muhammad did what was fine in his time. He was a warlord. It's that genetically it's repulsive to you. And your Christianity is genetically repulsive to them. You have to understand it's about race, it's not about religion. So the world right now is flooded with a bunch of dysgenic human races. And the strongest of the human races are also being made to be dysgenic. And the final trap is, argue with me, bro, debate me, bro. And debating with the Jew, you should read what Joseph Goebbels wrote about it, Hitler wrote about it. He was absolutely right. Like, there's no point. They debate like women, and the next day, even after you win the debate by some miracle, they just start at point zero. They'll be like, I don't remember me losing, and they'll start the debate again. The best answer to a Jewish debater is what Solzhenitsyn said. And he understood the Jewish problem. He said, Jews were the Bolsheviks. They were the ones who murdered 70 million Russian Christians. He said, any argument with an intellectual can be ended by a punch to the face, which is correct. It's like a 5-year-old annoying, selfish cunt of a child trying to argue with you. Would you stand for it beyond 5 minutes? Would you shut the fuck up and go sit down? Unless you're, of course, a dysgenic cunt man, right? But we're going to not talk about girls because they themselves are overgrown 5-year-olds, right? You tell, yo, shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down, right? But you have been dysgenically bred into these men of words and not men of action. However, there is a ray of hope. And now this is going to be fascinating because this is a man who's been banned from every platform, which is right now basically a badge of honor. So a Jew, lovely, let's see. A Jew set him up to fight a Negro, hoping the Negro would. You go. Aiding the Jew to a black publicly, but you guys know I would never let that happen. Thank God for Duo for always believing in me. Monarch stood by me, and I couldn't be more grateful. I did this for my people. That white pride, that is what is required. That's a Jew.
Like me? No! What? I don't like you. Jews, we're all good people, dude. No, they're not. I'm a good person. Do you like me? No! What? I don't like you. I've never liked you. I hate you. What? I can't fucking stand you. I think you're an asshole. I'm being serious. I know. You know something? What? You know what kills me about you? What? You threw money at me so that you could hope that some kicks my. Hey! What the fuck is that? No, you want. That's what you want.
That's a girly man response. That's a girly man response. And he won. Because we are.
And the winner by split decision.
Yes, it was.
Out of the red corner, Gypsy!
We are getting there. The only thing that differentiates you from being apart and truly above your race of any race is right now, if you understand the Jewish question, honestly. It doesn't matter if you are Nordic, Mediterranean, Anglo-Saxon, Alpine, Caucasian, South Asian, Arab, African, South American, Oriental, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. If you understand the Jewish question and you understand that they are a threat to all races, that is the only thing that will set you apart and above the rest of your race. That's it. That's the test. That's the litmus test of this time. And it's not just the IQ that would help you transcend the race. IQ is just one part of being of a particular race. There are a whole host of qualities that we haven't quantified. They're quantifiable, but we haven't quantified. Number 1, IQ. Number 2, high trust. Number 3, propensity to lie and cheat and defraud. It's genetically hard-coded. It is genetically easier for a Nordic person to not lie, cheat, and commit fraud than for an African. Like, he has to fight against his genes. This is genetics, it's not just IQ. But IQ definitely helps you rise above your race. See clearly. Above 120 IQ, almost all the race guys are aware. And the ones who are not, well, they're evil and girly. Because you have to be a girly man to accept this world and be like, oh, I'll just, make funny faces. I buried myself in the box. You look like a fag. All you fucking clowns. What have we got? We got a TV clown in Ukraine, a TV clown here next. What next? A YouTube clown who does president of a corporation. What were presidents throughout history? These are fucking merchants. Your nations are merchants. Your nations are business. There's no presidents in the normal society. There are emperors, dukes, lords. God, wait, right? So we're getting to the point where this Jew, Aiden Ross, he's a girly man. You know what real men would have like this was like, oh, don't say that, that's me. It's slapping. He set up this white guy, Paul Miller, to fight some black guy. Because this Jew, remember, they're girly men, so they can't really fight their own wars, they want others to fight. And he really wanted that nigger to defeat this white guy. And he is unapologetically white nationalist. Unapologetically. This is the man we want. And we are getting there. We're getting to the point where you have to realize in whichever country you are, like if you're Iranian, right, you have already realized ago, there is no point in talking. There is a point where you understand that the talk doesn't do anything. The Spartans understood this immediately. Talking is just a waste of time most of the time. If you can't back it up with violence. Violence should be your number one projection. Don't be violent, but project violence. Because from there, if you talk, now you're talking from a position of strength. You will have to fight. You will have to stop talking. You will have to stop arguing. As much as Wade likes Andrew Wilson. And as much you will not win. Out of getting shot in the back of the head. Nobody has ever talked Gulag. Nobody's ever talked themselves out of being murdered by Jewish Bolsheviks, Jewish communists. Nobody's ever talked themselves out of a genocide. Do you think the Gazans tried to talk themselves out of a genocide? How did that go? It still happened. It still happened. And that's the dichotomy that you've been told. That talking helps, talking solves problems. It doesn't. Girls talk all the fucking time and they hate each other. Because they understand. Talking just tells them how fucked up they are. And it's just buying time before they can actually harm somebody else, right? And that's talk. Remember the Spartans and the whole letter written by the Greeks to them, like, if I do this, if I do this, you will, and if this happens, and they just replied by if. So they never got invaded. Because he understood, like, yo, these people don't believe in talking. They understand, like, talking is bullshit. Behind it is action, the threat of action or not the threat of action. And that's it. Even this talk, there has to be an action. In some way or another, there has to be action. Now, you could go and stand in elections, you could go actually take action to hurt the anti-human regime that you're under, or help the pro-human regime that you're under if you're under good regime, right? But you have to take action at some point in time. And here is where the other parts of the trap are also there. You are enslaved to a lifestyle where money is so important that you can't really earn a living. If you can't earn a living to feed yourself, house yourself, feed yourself, clothe yourself, then you can't really have a family, because if you can't support yourself, how are you going to support them? And this struggle takes up the vast majority of your time, effort, and willpower, so that you can't really help defend your nation. Because the nation is built on ideals these days, capitalism, that are anti-human and anti-nation. The Jews don't disagree with feudalism at all. They just don't want racial solidarity. They don't want white people ruled by white people, browns ruled by browns, Orientals ruled by Orientals. They want to rule everybody, and that's the only way they could rule it, by making the lower class be like, oh, look at the king, he's living fat while you suffer. Well, he's managing an entire fucking country, you peasant. You got your fucking farm. Or if you can, and then see. And not just manage, fight for it. And manage all the intrigues. So they destroyed the monarchies and the aristocrats of races and replaced them by their own. A lot of the United Kingdom's aristocrats, they have a lot of Jews in there. They literally forbade someone to publish a book because they were afraid people would freak out how many Jews were in the British monarchy. And this was in the early 20th century, 1930s and 1920s. Today, there are even more. So they're replacing your people with their people. They like feudalism because that is the natural state of affairs. They just don't like you to have your own as your lords. Right? And that is where you guys revolutions throughout history. It started by Jews, Marx, started by Jews, and almost all communists have been Jewish, heavily Jewish. Even Hungary, from Hungary to Kazakhstan. Remember Borat, the Sacha Baron Cohen Jew? He was like, very nice, very nice. He's like, oh, I'm a Kazakh boy. Dude, the biggest genocide of Kazakh people was carried out by a Jew called Golishkin under the Jewish Bolshevik. So forget about you sitting in England and America, like America. They've been murdering freaking Kazakh people. They're very nice. And that movie was shot in Romania. They hate everybody, man. But they just take on your names. If they're in England, they'll call themselves Andy. If they'll call themselves Jimmy. If they're in Russia, they'll call themselves Vlad. But they just, at the end of the day, are racial aliens, and they have a very strong ethnic loyalty that they make sure you don't have. And of course, child sacrifice, probably you have to be fucked up enough to support it. But that's where we are. So action is being taken. Good. This is good. All right. They turned one of Elon Musk's children into transgender. This is the absolute truth. We'll say what he's saying. Actually,
and I
helpful to humanity.
I spent an entire year posting on X, and I finally broke through. I hit 20,000 followers. I got into the creator last night. I spent a year working hard on this, and then just like that, boom, they just suspended my...
Because all of the entertainment industry, the clowns, this is a Jewish circus, so they control the strings. You would say, like, why does Wade do this? Wade has maybe 13 of you following Wade regularly. Because it's not about the numbers. It's about sending a message. It's about the idea getting out there. Even if it is for one person that sees it, that's one more person that understands these things and spreads it to one more person. You don't have to have hundreds of millions of views for these ideas, because the hundreds of millions of views are for clowns. You know, to understand the fate of mankind, to see the king is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The king is not taking out videos every single day and making speeches every single day. And you as a person have to exercise the will that comes with handling that emotion. Wow, I'm going to see the king addresses people. The king is not taking out videos like, oh, viral video, I did this, I did that. Like a fucking clown for 12-year-olds. Because that's literally who YouTube is referencing, right? Because it takes no willpower to see some clown doing clownish things. It does take willpower to understand, like, wow, this is some truth that is being dropped out on me. I hope I have the will to understand it and apply it to my life. Decentralization. Right? So let's see what the clown war is doing to the United States and Iran. Candace Owens.
I found out that this
fantastic. If they come for Tucker, we ride it down. Literally nothing else to say here. We're not doing the Gulags 2.0 with these Bolshevik. These are Jews in the CIA, which is true. It was. And you discover the CIA has been reading your text in order to frame you. Listen to this. See, now these are milquetoast men and women. These are not warriors. They were forced to fight. These are not warriors. They were forced to fight. Understand this. And these people are reacting this way. So try to imagine what real warriors, what real men, they will, the way they will react. Not just real men, real warriors, but real men, real warriors, philosopher kings who have the brains behind the brawn. Remember how they will react. Now they will plan. All right, let's see how the Jews in the CIA and the Jews in the US government are trying to persecute someone who said, I like Jews, not all Jews. Well, that doesn't really matter whether they're Zionist or not Zionist because they act as a block. It's like saying, not all hands, my right hand doesn't help my left hand. It does, man. It does.
CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before. They read my texts. So the crime, an agent act or something like that, acting as an agent of foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere.
Back at the foreign lobby, but they're going to register and arrest an American. There you go. That's who you're dealing with. These are the chosen people, chosen by the demon. That is their God. This is horrifying. Tucker Carlson. Exactly. Fucking blow this up. Fantastic. Exactly. Basically, Jewish expulsions across centuries. I hope. This is Star Wars. This is Jewish. See, this shows that in Iran, 7 men were arrested for the gang rape of a girl, and the perpetrator begged the victim for mercy and forgiveness. However, the girl refused. All of them were sentenced to death by hanging. In Israel, they sued the government for not letting them rape a boy or a man. We are going to end at this point because if this proves anything, it is that a fundamental flaw with all these people was they did not understand the nature of girly men, and they didn't understand that it mutates into the nature of a parasite. Now, if you have a parasite body that is very infectious, so you can give it to anybody else. Do you think the best response and cure for that parasite is expulsion? We had 6,000 years of expulsion of parasites. What has that proven? They've gone powerful and more powerful and organized. No, you don't have parasites, you eradicate them. And the thing is, Jews call for the eradication of all non-Jews. It's just that they control the media. They're like, oh my God, that's so horrible. Well, you should also translate some stuff they say in Hebrew and Yiddish, right? Even the nice ones. They're like, oh, you're nice, we just want, they're like, Muslims want 70 virgins. Well, the Jews have 2,800 non-Jews as slaves in their books. So let's not have a dick measuring contest here, because you guys have like micro penises if they don't talk vaginas. Secondly, you can't really expel parasites, you have to eradicate them. Right. Now, to do this, you need to be hard men. And you haven't been hard forever. Germany and America are in somewhat the same stage. The girls are selling themselves and whoring themselves out for money online, pushed by Jews. Degeneracy pushed by Jews, government controlled by Jews. And even then, Germany was like, you know what, we're just going to expel them and put them in camps, give them swimming pools, we're going to kill them. Well, how did that turn out? They accused you of killing them anyway. They literally genocided people, the German genocided, by the Jewish-controlled Russians and a lot of the Jews who tortured the German officers into false confessions during the Nuremberg trial, the show trial, the circus. So there's no point in showing mercy to these people because at the end of the day, they're not going to show mercy to you. Whether you are their enemy or their friend, look what they're doing to America. Who's importing millions and billions of Sub-Saharan Africans and South Asians and South Americans and Muslims in your country? It's Jews. It doesn't matter. The people who stay in this religion and this ethnicity are linked by blood and by genetics to a certain behavior that is parasitic and poisonous. Right? We're going to end it there. Enough for the day. At the end of the day, it's about understanding. These people are not salvageable because the best among them are crucified by them or killed by them or they leave them. So genetically, they are not only the most inbred population on earth. Ashkenazi Jews, these are white Caucasian Khazars who convert to Judaism, they have the most inbred population on earth. That's what they accuse white people of being, right? Or the Muslims of being. No. There are 32 genetic diseases that are only in Ashkenazi Jews because they just fuck each other, their families. They're that fucked up. So genetically, they're inbred, they exacerbate all these qualities, they become more and more twisted, paranoid, demonic, and they kill, crucify, or expel those who don't want to follow that law. So just evolutionarily, they are putting themselves in a position of being absolute parasites, poisonous parasites. If you support them, you're either young, you're either naive, girl, or evil, or retarded. Pick one. If you're young or naive, that's forgivable. If you're a girl, doesn't matter. But if you're retarded or evil, you're also pretty much a useful idiot and dangerous in that case. But that's the world we live in. That is the Jewish world where they make clowns into the presidents. We're going to do one more thing because we definitely want to get to this. There's so much Jewish bullshit in the world, it keeps distracting, right? This is a Jew, ADL CEO. Let's see what the Iran US war. Let's see. I mean, the only experience Wade has had with the Iranians is that they are nice men and beautiful women. No nukes for Iran, no troops on the ground, no US troops dead, no regime change, no nation building, no war. President Trump with a historic masterclass. That is funny. Latest. Israel could use nuclear weapon. Top Trump advisor calls for off-ramp to Iran war. Warns Israel could just be destroyed. Trump to roll out his ministry of lie and denial, Pam Bondi and Cash Patel. A slut who was fucked by him when she was 14 and a fucking Shudra-level Indian to start addressing media queries to deny everything, including if US ever went into a war with Iran or has lost it. This is what happens when you put a clown in the palace. He doesn't become a king. The palace becomes a circus. This clown had the opportunity to become a man because the Jews tried to kill him twice. Instead, he bent the knee and swallowed their bullshit. Wholesale. That's probably why he talks like that, because he got throat fucked so many times by that, right? They tried to kill him 3 times, and he's still like, oh, biggest ally. Bro, you woke up too late, man. You married your daughter off to a Jew, and you are a girly man yourself. You're a girly man with the appearance of masculinity. So these are like the vast majority of masculine men that you hear are like this. Girly men, good with pussy. But it's not true masculinity. They are just one step below the actual masculine men who are serious, quieter, ruthless, and more action-oriented. Right? So he started a fucking war, fuck around, find out. There are so many headlines saying, he didn't realize Iran would attack. You fucking faggot, while you were banging sluts, these people knew they were in an existential battle for their homeland and their people and their race. Because if they lose, their women are going to be turned into sluts and boys are going to be turned into queeros and the Jews are going to rule them. And they don't want that. Why? They are one of the 2 pure Aryan groups. And they have been purer than the Indians who, let's look at it, mixed a lot with the Indians, and you can see the meat. Cash Patel is like, oh, I'm an Indian. Bro, you are so far away from Aryan DNA, you fucking motherfucker. You fucking lowest caste motherfucker. Your face shows it, your physiognomy shows it, your actions show it. And you got a fucking Israeli gun, body disgusting like you. Right? That's the end of the FBI. Head of the DOJ, some slut. Your grandma slut. Big boy guy who's a girly man. He's like, I'm a pussy. Bro, do you think Genghis Khan ever bragged pussy? Of course, we can talk about it. But at the end of the day, you understand all this game and everything. This is the first step of the reaction to what men have understood throughout history. Yo, if we really want, we can just take what we want. Nobody can fucking stop us. The only ones who can stop us are other men. If there's a whole society of men who's like, yo, men first, it's very just society. It might hurt your feelings, but we protect girls from their own stupidity. A lot more than you. We want freedom so our girls can be sluts at 18 online. Versus people in the Taliban, you're like, oh, they're horrible, they're covering them with burqas. Well, guess what? They have bigger families than you, happier lives. Oh, they can't be sluts and parade around in bikinis with their ass hanging out. Neither did your women in the 19th century. Look at up, Europeans, Americans. How did your girls dress? Fucking girly man. So this is what happened when a girly man picks a fight. Like, he fucking fought. While he was banging sluts, they were preparing for war because they saw what happened to Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. They knew they were the last. The Jews have been telegraphing this for 40 years. Like, yo, we will destroy them. So they prepared for it. You're banging sluts and getting drunk. Oh, I want to be president. I will try to get the Jewish vote. They were like, yo, fuck the vote and fuck these people because they're divorced from God. Separation of church and state. You think your God and his laws are subservient to your laws? That's what separation of church and state means. You think your laws are bigger and better than God's laws? You fucking retards. And here we are, pussy fucker, fighting with men. And they're saying Israel could use nukes and still be destroyed. Well, no fucking shit, you girly bunch of Khazar bitches. You Jewish girly bitches. What the fuck did you think was happening? You think you were dealing with a bunch of pussies from Britain who betrayed the Germans also in World War II? No, you're dealing with fucking pure blood Aryans. You're like, fuck you. If you're going to have between these three fucked up Abrahamic religions, we're going to choose the most masculine one. You may, but it's true, you are just not as masculine. Christianity is the version of Judaism, that Buddhism is the version of Hinduism. Hinduism is a very soul-sucking and spirit-sucking religion in one aspect. In another aspect, it's a very nice religion if you just want to leave this world and become a hermit. It takes it to another level of laziness and passive. Christianity is that. There is no version of the art that could be directly correlated to Islam right now. Because it is an old religion and it has a lot of good ideas. But modern Hinduism is a concretism of a bunch of freaking white, tribal, Dravidian people and other people that they might just absorb their gods. Instead of saying, no, fuck gods. Our gods are better. They went from blonde, blue-eyed gods to freaking black gods. It's all cool, bro. No, it's not. That's why you end up with dysgenic, cross-eyed freaks like Cash there, representing your country. So, these people, the clowns and the circus, that is the presidency, picked a fight with the real men fighting for their civilization, their life, and their principles. And they were egged on, they will fight their own wars and they can't. And their point in history has shown now that even if they use nukes, they can't destroy Iran, man. It's a huge country. They can't destroy 90 million people. But Iran will definitely destroy these people, which fits them. Like girly men who tend to be aggressive, they understand pretty quickly that most men are cowards. So it allows them to go very far, but they get stopped by actual masculine men. You know who's an actual masculine man? Putin. You know who's an actual masculine man? The Ayatollah, man. He went home knowing he would be killed. He would have avoided his child and his grandchild dying. But he knew that, okay, I'm going to be martyred. I've lived till 86. It's a long life. If my death ushers this in, it strengthens my civilization. I'm willing to give that sacrifice. A pussy fucking girly man will never do this. So these men go far until they meet an actual man who doesn't care about pussy, who doesn't care about the shit, he's not a coward, and he fucks them up. That's what's happening to Trump because he met actual men in Iran. And we're not going to say that's what happened to Israel because they're not masculine men at all. So you know why? Look better than them, which is natural human tendency. Now he's lying about losing the war. If only he hadn't bashed. It doesn't matter. Trump demands 7 countries help reopen after you took away all their missiles and gave them to Israel. Look, clown, you coward. Let me explain this to you very simply. You are a fucking clown who is using other men. Fight, which was staged in the WWE, you would have got your ass whooped. You are not a warrior. Most men are not warriors. And you are definitely not a philosopher. So you're not a philosopher warrior. So you have no qualities of king. You have the qualities of a clown. And clowns don't win wars against men who are willing to die for what they believe in. You were unwilling to die for what you believed in because your balls immediately dropped. You the day after they tried to kill you on a racially alien Republican convention and smiled instead of burning it all to the fucking ground and then fuck you, fuck all this shit, fuck out of here. I'm gonna take away and take over this convention. You lost your ball, you pissed yourself because you're a fucking clown pretending to be brave. You're a pussy that's pretending to be a strong man. Right? Strong men don't chase pussy, they just take it. Everything else be fucking damn. You know what girls really, really like? Strong men, ruthless, power. The best, the most attractive man in the girl's hierarchy is the bad boy. Why? Because he doesn't give a fuck about it. He just takes what he wants. What it is? Natural and masculine. You think thousands of years ago, your tribal ancestors, after the last civilization collapsed, Atlantis, they were like, oh, do you like me? No, they were like, bitch, come here. Boop. You're like, I'm not gonna come with you. Boop on the head, drag her. That's it. You're my wife now. We're still living in this world. Now you're just extrapolating this to an entire. And you literally made America Iran's bitch. You literally. Because you had a gay, a queer best friend Israel. So basically, this is what's happening. Iran is the manly man. America is the bitch who has a queer best friend Israel. And that queer best friend wants both of these manly man and the beautiful girl to die fighting each other. But what happens when manly men meet queer and beautiful girls? They slap the beautiful girl around like a bitch. She is. Slap the bitch out of her. And then they fuck the queer up. Right? That's what's happening in country terms. Well, that's it for today. We're going to go over a lot more interesting things in the world that are destroying Jewish power, not least of which is their control of the financial system and how centralized money really destroys it. But that is a conversation for another time for you Bitcoin and Monero enthusiasts out there, even Ethereum's. For now, absorb all this knowledge, keep it cool, keep it smart, and until next time, enjoy.